Hello everybody, welcome to week 4. Mr. Rivers here. Today we're going to talk about section 9.9, the percent equation. The objective today is to solve problems using the percent equation. But before we jump into today's new topic, here are some warm-up problems I want you to work. There you go. Take a look at all these. Solve each using the percent proportion. This is from the last unit. Pause the video now, please. All right, now remember, a proportion is when we have two fractions that are equal to each other. So the percent proportion always has what in the denominator? One of our denominators is always 100. And we ask ourselves, what goes over 100? Well, in this problem, it was the percent every time. It's always the percent over 100. So 6%. So what do we put up here in the numerator? We put 6. So what is 6% of 95? That word of lets us know where that 95 goes. Of 95, that means 95 has to be in the denominator, which means our unknown has to be in the numerator. And now that we have our proportion, we cross multiply and solve. X times 100 is 100x, and that is equal to 95 times 6, which is 570. We then need to divide both sides by 100. I want you to get to where you can do this mentally. So when we divide by 100, we have to move our decimal how far? 2 spots to the left. So when we divide by 100, it's going to be 5.7. And there you see that. We divide by 100, and we get x equals 5.7. So 5.7 is 6% of 95. Were we solving for a percent here? No, we weren't. Remember, the only percent is going to be over 100, and we were not solving for that percent. An area where I see kids make mistakes here is they forget to put the equal sign here in your proportion. All right, the next two, 9 is 15% of what number? Well, 15%, that's 15 over 100. You see that on the right side of my equation here. On the left side, 9 is 15% of what number? That keyword of lets us know what goes in the denominator. Of what number, meaning the denominator is unknown. We cross multiply and solve. 9 times 100 is 900. 15 times x is 15x. We then divide both sides by 15 and we get 60. Were we finding a percent here? No, we already knew the percent. The percent was 15, so we were finding a number. So we're done there. All right, last one here. 80 is what percent of 300? Okay, do we know the percent here? No, we don't. So if we don't know the percent, it's x over 100, all right? 80 is what percent of 300? That keyword of lets us know 300 goes in the denominator of 300, and then that means 80 must be in the numerator. We then cross multiply and solve. X times 300 is, so we have 300x equals 80 times 100 is 8,000. We divide both sides by 300. Check out this neat trick. This only works when we have zeros on the end here, but we have 0 over 0. 1 second. So we can cancel those out. 0 over 0. We can cancel those out. This only works when the zeros are on the end. If there's somewhere in the number that does not work, that simplifies to 80 thirds. And what is 80 thirds? It is 26.6 repeating, 26.6 repeating. Now, what we asked to find a percent here is what percent? Yes, we need to find the percent, 26.6 repeating, which is going to be 26.6 repeating is 2/3 percent. I would also take 26.6 repeating percent, but please don't round unless you are asked to round. Okay, on to the percent equation. The percent equation always looks like this. Part equals percent times whole. Now, before we talk about the percent equation, let's tie this into the percent proportion. The percent proportion was the percent, the percent over 100 equals the part over the whole. Now the difference here is when we say the percent over 100, if it was like 25%, it would have been 25 over 100, or 30% would be 30 over 100. This, in the percent equation, that is not the case. We need to convert this percent to a decimal. And you see that right here. You must change the percent to a decimal first. So remember when we set up our percent proportion in that warm up, it's pretty easy to find the percent, but we are going to have to convert it to a decimal. It was pretty easy to find the whole as well because the whole came after that keyword of, and then part was just the other numerical value that was not a percent and was not the whole. So these problems are going to be in one of three ways. We're either going to have the part missing, in which case we'll have to find it. We'll have the whole missing, in which case we'll have to find it, or we'll have the percent missing, in which case we have to find it. But it's going to be one of those three every time. You either have the part and the percent and you're missing the whole, or maybe you have the part and the whole and you're missing the percent, or maybe you have the percent and the whole and you're missing the part. So you're going to have two of those three every time, and you're going to be finding the third one. Now, if you ever can't remember how to set this up, it is going to be part equals percent times whole. But if you ever can't remember, where does part go? Where does whole go? Think about 50% of 10. All right, so 50%, that's 0.5, right? Times the whole of 10 times 10. So 50% of 10, 0.5 times 10 is 5. So 10 for the whole, 5 for the part. You got to multiply the whole and you're going to shrink it down in that one situation that I gave you. So here on this example, what is 65% of 18? So pause the video for a second. Look here at part equals percent times whole. Plug it in accordingly. See if you can find the right spot. Okay, so the part, we'll talk about that in a second. We know the percent is 65%. Remember, you got to change it to a decimal. Did you remember to do that? Whole 18. How do you know that? The keyword of 18. So 0.65 times 18. We are missing the part. Calculator comes in really handy here. 0.65 times 18, and I get 11.7. So 11.7. Okay, next one. Pause the video, try this one on your own. 15 is what percent of 125? Go ahead and pause that video now. Personally, I always start with the percent because the percent is easy to find. It's got that percent sign on it. That's the dead giveaway. So let me throw my equal sign in here. Equal sign. All right. I don't see percent, so I'm going to write in, I'll use Y for percent. I don't want to use X. Y, that's my percent times. All right, now whole. Percent times whole. What is the whole here? Look for the keyword of 125. So 125. And then 15 must then be my part. So 15 is what percent of 125? I need to divide both sides by 125, right? The inverse of multiplication is division. So we divide by 125. Calculator comes in real handy here as well. 15 divided by 125, and we get 0.12 equals Y. Now let's go ahead and change this to a percent. So 15 is what percent of 125? Remember, Y is 0.125. Don't say, actually, no, wait, 0.125 is 12%. So you should say your variable is equal to that percent because these two are equal, right? 12% is 0.12. So yes, 12% is equal to Y. 15 is 12% of 125. All right, next one, let me erase for you here. All right, pause the video, try this one on your own. Pause the video now, try this third one on your own. Find 32%, well 32%, that's my percent clearly, of 185. The keyword of lets you know that 185 is your whole, so percent times whole equals part. Go to the calculator now, 0.32 times 185, and we get 59.2. So X equals 59.2. All right, next one, try this one on your own. Pause the video now. 16 is 40% of what? Well, 16 is 40% of what? 40%, clearly my percent, so percent times whole, 0.4 times of what? Of, lets us know that the missing part is the whole. We are going to multiply here. You might be wondering, why are you not using X? Well, I didn't want to use the dot for multiplication because we've got that decimal in there. And so I didn't want to have X times X or 0.4 times X with the multiplication symbol looking like the X. So I went ahead and changed my variable to W, which is fine, represents whole, right? So how do we solve for W here? We divide by 0.4. Divide by 0.4. When we do that, 16 divided by 0.4, we get 40. 40 is equal to the whole. All right, let's take a look at one more. Last one here, what is 18% of 550? Pause the video now. 18% of 550. 18% of 550, my percent is 18%, which is 0.18 of 550. Lets me know 550 is whole. So we're missing the part here. Percent multiplied by whole. Calculator comes in handy. 550 times 0.18, and we get 99. So my part is 99. 99 is 18% of 550. It's important that we think logically about our answers too, right? So 18% of 550, this is less than 100%, right? So if 100% is 550, 18% is less than that, meaning we're going to have a number less than 550. So if you make some mistake somewhere and you flip-flop the whole in the part, and let's say you got 850 on this, right? That means you went from a whole of 550 up to a larger number. If you're less than 100% of something, it's going to go down. So keep that in mind. All right, let's keep going. All right, pause the video. Try all three of these. I'm just going to throw these three answers up, and you can pause the video if you need any extra help on this. So pause the video now, please. All right, so here you see the three answers here. Where might have you gone wrong? Well, 9%, remember that's 0.09. You might have made that 0.9, which is 90%, not 9%. So please remember to move that decimal 2 spots. That's a possible spot for error here. Another possible spot for error, remember on the second one, we're trying to find the percent. So yeah, y equals 1.9, but what is that as a percent? You got to move that decimal over 2 spots, you get 190%. Last one was pretty straightforward. All right, so I'd like you to pause the video now and work the first problem set that I have assigned, okay? And then come back to the video once you've worked that first problem set. All right, welcome back. We can use a percent equation to find discount and interest. Hopefully you're an expert when it comes to the percent equation by now. You've been to the store before and you've purchased something on sale, I'm sure, 10% off, 20% off, 50% off. We're going to talk about discounts, and this applies to you when you are shopping. Interest also applies to you as you are either paying it if you have borrowed money, or you're getting paid interest if you have loaned someone money. That includes loaning the bank money, like when you put money into an account of some sort. Let's first talk about discounts, okay? So a $55 table is 20% off. So there's one of two ways to think about this. If you're taking 20% off, right? If you take 20% off, what percent did you pay? What do you think? If you got the price of something, you take 20% off, what percent of the original price did you pay? You paid 80%. 80% plus 20% is 100%, right? So that's how it breaks down. You got 20% off, but you did still pay 80% of what the price was. Find the sales price. The reason we do this first part, where we identify what we paid and what the percent off was, it comes down to what we are asked to find. Okay, so if we're asked to find the sales price, are we concerned about what we paid or how much we got off, how much we did not pay? We're concerned about what we paid. So keeping in mind, we're going to use 80% of what we paid, or 80% is what we paid, I should say. 80% is what we paid. We're not concerned about that 20% off right now. And 55%, ask yourself, is that the original price or is that the sales price? And if you're confused about if that's the original price or the sales price, keep reading the problem. Find the sales price. Well, this is the original price. Would you consider the original price the whole or the part? Is it the bigger part or the smaller part? The original price is going to be larger, right? So that's going to be your whole, and the sales price is going to be your part. So as we substitute in these numbers, we're thinking about it in these terms. Our sales price, what we are paying, is equal to the percent that we do pay times the original price. So let's plug these different parts in now. All right, well, the sales price is unknown, P. The percent paid, we paid 80%, times the original price, $55. 0.8 multiplied by 55. And we get a sales price of $44. Sales price is $44. Please do include your units there. If you think you understood that first one, try this one out on your own. Pause the video now if you think you understood it. A chair is originally $39 and it's on sale for $32. What is the percent of the discount? I'm going to pause the video now, or you should pause the video now and work this out. Okay, so a chair is originally $39. That's going to be our whole. When you see like the original price, that's your whole. It's on sale for $32. When you see on sale or the sales price, think that's the part. That's the smaller portion. What is the percent of the discount? Okay, now there's one of two ways to do this. We could either find the percent paid and then figure out the discount, or we could jump straight to the discount. I'll work it both ways. First off, the percent that we paid. So the sales price, the part, is equal to the percent times the whole, y times 39. This is going to give us the percent that we paid, and then from that we can figure out the percent off, or the discount that we had. So we'll divide both sides by 39. 32 divided by 39 is about, I'm rounding to the nearest tenth here, 0.82, which means it's about 82%. Okay? So this was the percent that we paid. If we paid 82%, that means it was 18% off. That was our discount. Again, 18 plus 82 adds up to 100%. The sales percent plus the percent off equals the original price, or 100%. And now for the alternative method, how much off did we have? Well, it was originally $39. We paid $32. 39 minus 32, we got $7 off. So $7 is what percent of 39? Now I'm going to do this using the percent equation. So you could some of you guys are probably looking at this and saying, I know an easy way to do it. That's fine. But sometimes you're prompted to use the percent equation. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So 7 is going to be our part. The percent off is what we are trying to find. So I'll call that, I don't know, how about M? And we're going to multiply that by the whole. What is the whole? It's 39. So the part, $7, we got $7 off, times, this is our percent off, multiplied by the whole, which is 39. So we'll divide both sides by 39 here. We are multiplying the whole by our percent off, which gives us how much money we got off. So 7 divided by 39, we should get 18, and we do. M is equal to 0.18 roughly when we round it, which is 18%. So either way, you get 18%. A regular price pair of jeans is $45.95. If there is a 25% discount and a 6% sales tax based on the discounted price, how much will the jeans cost? Now, let me give you some guidance here before you try it on your own. The sales tax is applied to the sales price. So you take the sale price first, and then you add the sales tax to it. So do what you can of this one. I realize you might not be able to do all of it, but do what you can and give this one a shot. Okay, so if we want to find the price we paid, it's the original price, $45.95, multiplied by, well, if we get 25% off, that means we are paying 75%, right? So 0.75 times 45.95, that gives us a sales price of, by the way, if you were asked to define your variable would be X here, which represents the sales price. So our sales price X is $34.46. Now, the sales tax is added to that. So we need to know what is 6% of 34.46. Now, we're going to pay $34.46 plus the sales tax. So this is 100%, right? So we're going to pay for this, which is going to be like 100% of the purchase price, plus we are adding 6% to that. So what is 100% plus 6%? It's 106%. Okay, now what is 106 as a decimal? It is 1.06. So you could calculate what is 6% of 3446 and add it to that, or you can just think about it as, well, this is 100%. We're adding 6% to that. So the way we do this mathematically is 3446 multiplied by 106%, or 1.06. This is going to be the price for jeans plus the sales tax, 34.46 multiplied by 1.06, and we get $36. And when we round to the nearest cent, 53 cents. $36.53. There we are. All right, on now to interest. Interest can be annual or monthly. The principal is the amount of money you put in. The rate is the percentage rate, usually pretty small, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, something like that. The time is how long you leave the money in the bank or whatever account you have it in terms of years typically, but that can vary a bit. Like I can give you the time in months, etc. The interest is how much the money earns while in the bank. So for example, if you have $100 and you earn 1% interest per year, after 1 year, you'll have your $100 still plus 1%, which is $1. You'll have $101. So the interest is $1 in that situation. The time would have been 1 year in that situation. The rate would have been 1%, and the principal is the amount that you put in, or $100. And we use this formula. Interest equals principal. Remember, that's the amount that you put in, multiplied by the rate in terms of a decimal. Okay, it is going to be a percent, but it is going to, we're going to write it as a decimal, times time. That's going to give us our interest. There are 4 parts to this, and we're going to have 3 of the 4 every time, and we're going to have to find the missing part. Always change the percent to a decimal for rate. Find the interest in the total amount in the account, $863 at 5% interest for 7 years. So ask yourself, what is the interest? What is the principal? What is the rate? What is the time? Well, the time is 7 years. The interest is 5%, which, remember, we need to write the rate as a decimal, so that's 0.05. And 863, does that represent interest or principal? Represents the principal, how much you put in. So we are trying to find the interest. So pause the video now and try that out. And we end up with 863, our principal, times our rate, 0.05, that's 5%, times 7 years. And just go to the calculator now. And we earned an interest of $302.05. So interest equals $302, always round to the nearest penny in this situation, and 5 cents. Now, how much money do we have now? We were not asked this, but if we started with 863 and we earned $302.05 more, how can we find the total amount? You add these two together. So 863 plus 302.05 plus 863, we would get $1,165.05. So that's how much money you have in total. You did not lose your 865, you still have it. You just added to it 302. All right, so let's talk about interest as it relates to if it's calculated annually. So time is going to be in years here. Annual means once a year. Right? So $500 for 4 years at 4.5% interest. So think about the principal, think about the rate, think about the time. Now, if it's annual, time is going to be in years, and it is. So there's not really any extra work to do here. So T is going to be in years. P, your principal, is going to be 500, and R, your rate, is going to be 4.5%. So interest is equal to principal times the rate. Now remember, this has to be, I'll do an X here. This has to be as a decimal, so that's 0.045 times time 4. Calculator helps you out here. You multiply all this together, and we get an interest of $90. Now, you might be asked, how much money do you have total? We now have $90 more. We did have 500, $90 more. We have $590. Try this next one on your own, but keep in mind on this one, we're still talking about annual interest. So 15 months, how many years is 15 months? Pause the video, see if you can figure that out first. That'll be the first thing I show you. How many years is 15 months? Well, if 15 months, there's 12 months in a year, right? So 15 divided by 12, we get 1.25. That's 1.25 years. 3,000 is your principal, 5.6% is your rate, and we know 1.25 is the time. We do have to convert this to years, and we have. So go ahead and find the interest of that now. And the interest is equal to the principal, 3,000 times the rate, 0.056 times the time, 1.25, and we get 210. So that is how much interest you make. You now have $3,210. Try the last one on your own. Pause the video now. $2,800 at 6.5% interest for 42 months. Pause the video now. Try this one on your own. Okay, so this is annual interest, meaning time has to be in years, and we're given to our time in months here. So 42 divided by 12, 42 months, it's 3.5 years, 3.5 years. So that's going to be our time. So interest equals principal, 2,800, times 6.5%, that is 0.065. Double check me, move that decimal 2 spots to the right. Boom, boom, 6.5%, right? Times 42 months, which is 3.5 years. 2,800 times 0.065 times 3.5, and we get $637. On all of these, time is in years because it's annual interest. So that's the case with annual interest. Let's take a look at monthly interest. With monthly interest, the time has to be in months. So it's the same idea, but instead of time being in years, we have a principal of 1,250. We have a rate of 1.5%, and our time is 6 months. So with monthly interest, time needs to be in months, and on this problem it already is. So our interest earned is equal to principal multiplied by your rate. Remember to make it a decimal, 0.015. Always check this, right? You can slide that decimal back 1, 2 spots and you get 1.5, which is what it is as a percent. And we multiply this by 6 months. 1,250 times 0.015 times 6. The amount of interest earned here is $112.50. About $500 at 0.3% a month for 18 months. Try this one on your own. All right, the tough part here is the 0.3%. Remember, when we're going from a percent to a decimal, we're going to move that decimal to the left. So we move this decimal to the left 2 spots, we get 0.003. We can check this by moving it back. Boom, boom, and we're right here at 0.3%. Our time is already in months, so that's great. We just multiply all this together. 500 times 0.003 times 18. We get 27. So we earned, $27 on that. Now, in the event that we had a problem where it was in years here, like, so let's say, for example, if this was 1.5 years, right, instead of 18 months, we would have to convert 1.5 years to 18 months. How do we do that? Well, 1.5 years, how many months are in a year? 12, so multiply it by 12 months per year, we would get 18 months. Okay, now maybe you know that a year and a half is 18 months, in which case you don't have to show these calculations. That's fine, but it's not always that easy. But however many years you have, multiply by 12. How many years you have, multiply by 12. That'll give you the number of months. All right. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. Please make sure you complete all your assignments to the best of your ability. See you in class after Easter break.